Baller Nation? It's your boys, the Shotcallers. Finally, back again with another podcast episode. The date is March 10th, 2020.
I feel attacked by the finally.
It's been a while. So.
Yeah, it has been a while. But as always, we're back to talk basketball. As always, I have my boy Andre Bloodborne West to my right.
Bloodborne. Bloodbred.
And directly in front of me, I got my boy Richard, geared up Bustos.
Yeah, I'm ramped up. I'm ready for this show. We can call it Shotcallers Season 2.5. We're in the home stretch.
Yep.
Yeah, he's no NBA in February, kind of like no November.
Oh,
He's loaded
no NBA February.
Time to shoot.
Start spraying.
Lows.
Time to start spraying. We do apologize for the long
hiatus. We kind of had some midterms at my university going on. Just kind of a lot of stuff. Logistical concerns couldn't let us meet, but we're back. We're ready for the playoff run. This is where we gear up and round into form, kind of like the veterans in the NBA.
Yeah, we didn't want to bring you guys a subpar content or a subpar program. So we wanted to make sure that, first of all three of us were here.
Yeah, that's important.
But that just means that we're ready to go with tons and tons of content. We got to catch up on quite a few things. We're going to kick it off with some news. Andre?
Yeah, so I guess the most recently big news announcement was the firing of the head coach, Kenny Atkinson, from the Brooklyn Nets. So word on the street is that Nets, or specifically Kyrie, is interested in getting Ty Lue to fill his position. I'm interested to see how the Nets leadership will approach that, and who else is on the market. We hear a lot of talk about like Becky Hammond and stuff from the Spurs. Mark Jackson gets thrown out a lot right there, but it's interesting you see like a current playoff team that's contending
super
for
weird.
This season to fire their head coach.
They're in the playoffs right now.
And they did really well last season too. They overachieved. So it's interesting. You got all these new players who were signed in the offseason. KD, Kyrie, DeAndre Jordan. And it seems like a lot of the team rumors are coming out that a lot of the team was unhappy. Some of them were unhappy with.
So what I've gathered is that a lot of times, like when he made the substitution to bench DeAndre Jordan for Jared Allen, and vice versa, or when Spencer Dinwiddie would be really hot for the Nets and to come back, and then he'd be benched or whatever.
Bench him, right?
There'd be a lot of weird feelings or miscommunication or feelings of uneasiness for the players, saying, "Okay, so am I the sixth man? Am I going to start?" DeAndre Jordan was saying that when he signed there with Kevin Durant and Kyrie, that he was told he was going to start, and now he's not starting. And it's hard to say whether or not like their backup or like throw in center that they signed to be friends with Kyrie and Kevin
KD,
is like calling the shots. I don't think that's the case, but just unrest in general must be whack feeling. And if you're a new owner, Joe Tsai, he might be like, okay, well, this upcoming year is like the most important year in like Nets history since they became the Brooklyn Nets, especially since that Kevin Garnett
long history,
trade deal. Yeah, they're almost the Swamp Dragons. Side note. Anyway, so if that's coming up, maybe they do want to make a change. And like, it's like I always compare it to our real lives. Have you ever had a manager that you just didn't like, and if somebody asked you, hey, if you even if they didn't ask you, like they said, this guy's leaving, and if I'm Kevin Durant or Kyrie Irving, if I wanted to stay, I just say, hey, I wanted to stay. And if they would have said that, he would have stayed.
Yeah.
But they obviously didn't say that.
It's weird because KD hasn't played with him, and it seems like he's kind of detached on the whole situation. Were you going to have something to add, JV?
Well, I was just going to say, we talked a lot about this earlier in the season, that this year for the Nets was kind of just trial and error, see what happens, not really trying to do a whole lot. If you win games, great. If you don't, that's fine too. If you have to rest Kyrie Irving half the season, oh well. Our chips are all in starting next season. Like Rich said, it's one of the biggest, probably the biggest season in Brooklyn Nets history. I don't think it necessarily means that they played a hand in getting rid of him. Kind of like you said, it's more indifference, and it's like, hey, we're thinking, do we want somebody? I'm not saying they didn't ask him. They definitely talked to those two guys and said, hey, we're thinking about going a different route. What do you guys think? And they were like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. They probably planned on bringing it up in the offseason themselves to say, hey, we want this guy, we want to name who the guy that we want. But I think the new ownership definitely probably just, got out in front of them and said, let's go ahead and do this now, so that, and I don't think the interim head coach is going to take over. That hardly ever happens. But let's just get that whole little mess in the locker room.
Get it out of the way.
If there is any, there's speculation that there was. Let's get that out of the way now and let's start figuring out, lineups now. Because even, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are going to get the lion's share of all those shots. Let's make sure that the supplemental guys are happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it'll be a difficult task for whoever takes the job. I feel like Ty Lue probably has the most experience, but you have a lot of people last season who were used to getting a good amount of shots. You get 3 stars coming in this season. So, yeah, that's going to be a lot to manage, especially when they have championship expectations going forward.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder where the next head coach is going to come from. Do they already have somebody in mind? As like I mentioned a little bit earlier, Joe Sides, their new owner, Sean Marks has been in there for the majority of their rebuild or rebuild since the Kevin Garnett days. And then besides that, they've got new guys on the team with Kevin Durant, who has a lot of championship experience, and Kyrie Irving, who's been in a winning situation before too. But I just wonder, like, how much of it is like, are they going to really lean in on these stars don't like change? They want something that's kind of worked for them before, or do they have someone earmarked take over that Sean Marks has already picked out irreverent of what the stars want? So that's kind of what I will be watching for. From the Kenny Atkinson side, they were saying that it was a mutual thing. A lot of reporting from The Athletic was saying that Kenny Atkinson didn't like the whole feeling of the team, that he had lost the locker room, and why would I waste my next few months kind of as a lame duck, kind of a Mike D'Antoni situation where he's not going to get renewed at the end of the season.
So been mutually beneficial for them to both part ways, I guess, at this point of the season.
I think he'll find a job fairly quickly.
There's going to be a lot of
he's a very talented coach.
I'm not too worried about him personally. I think he'll be just fine.
Yeah, if you can craft some success out of last year's Nets, I think that bodes well. He could end up in another rebuilding situation. He could end up on the Knicks.
Yeah, that's what actually the team this week.
And then another bit of speculation.
Don't even have to move.
Leon Rose, the new president of the Knicks, is a former representative of Kenny Atkinson when he was an agent.
Okay, yeah. So you see some stuff happening.
Breadcrumbs. Yeah, there's some breadcrumbs being laid right there, and then he doesn't have to move out of New York. So seems like an ideal sort of thing.
Yeah, cool. Before we move on to the next topic, I do want to take a moment to talk about our social media, guys. If you don't already follow us, we are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify,
Instagram,
Breaker,
Twitter,
radio.com. Just look for the Shotcallers. We're on Twitter at Shotcallers Show. We're on Instagram, _Shotcallers, and you can also watch us on YouTube. Just search for the Shotcallers if you prefer that method of listening. And make sure to review us on Apple Podcasts. That's the quickest way for us to grow the show, and we really appreciate any feedback. Without further ado, let's move on to the next topic. Not a fun topic to talk about, something that happened, and of course not news to the world. But we have not recorded since then. The unfortunate passing of Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gianna, as well as I think it was 3 other people that were affected by the helicopter accident in late January.
It was 11 people. I think, yeah.
11 people total?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't know there was that many people. A lot of people impacted by that, but of course the big name is going to be Kobe Bryant. It just shook the entire basketball world.
The entire world
even in general. Yeah. Social media, erupted. People not believing it. I think people mad about the way it was handled. But all that aside, definitely a huge loss to culture
world,
in general, for real.
Modern culture. Yeah, he had a big impact on me growing up. I was never like the biggest Kobe fan. AI was always my guy in the early 2000s. So
that's the guy that's always keeping you out of the finals.
Yeah. So seeing Kobe, he was the villain for me.
Mavericks didn't actually play though.
Yeah, we only played him once in the playoffs.
I always hear Mavs fans talk a lot about the Lakers, and I was like, we played the Lakers like twice.
It was like one time.
It was once.
It was in 2011 when
that was the only time.
And the Mavericks swept them away. Yes, and so
we had trouble with the Kings and Spurs.
Yeah, it was the Kings, Spurs, and Suns.
Yeah,
it was. I'm like, why do I hate the Lakers so much?
The thing that was the most frustrating for me as a Mavericks fan growing up was the Lakers resident fans in my school. So anytime the Lakers played the regular season, Billy and Kevin would be betting us that they'd win. And
Billy and Kevin.
Yeah, Billy and Kevin. Whichever team lost the bet, the kid had to wear the worst, trashiest Lakers jersey. Like if I had to wear the worst trashiest Lakers jersey, wrinkled, imaginable, the replica, and then if the Lakers lost, then Billy and Kevin had to wear the jerseys. So that was where a lot of animosity came from. When I was growing up trying to learn about the NBA, I watched a lot of early YouTube clips of Michael Jordan and how he was the greatest, and Kobe Bryant was like the next thing, and I was like, there's no way he's better than Jordan. I saw him with my own 2 eyes when I really didn't. I was just I was trying to sound cool, but anyway.
You saw Space Jam.
Space Jam, dude. Yeah, he was flying.
I think to this day, Michael Jordan's gonna have that hold, especially on the people that are like pre-millennial. I guess we're technically millennials too. I guess anybody like 25 or older is still gonna see Jordan as the GOAT.
Yeah.
And anybody under that's gonna be like a mix of Kobe and LeBron. I mean the loss of Kobe. We talked about this, Rich, the day it happened, and you mentioned it. When you think about all the legends in the NBA, they're all around. We think about the game where Dirk retired and all the legends that showed up there.
Yeah, right. Like the only one who's not here is Wilt, right?
Scottie Pippen.
Yeah. Oh, that was so cool.
They were all there for that, and you just kind of expect that moving forward from all your favorites. You
Bill
expect
Russell
to see
is at every finals.
Exactly.
He gives out the trophy for Finals MVP.
You expect to see those guys for a long time because we're so used to that. NBA is not
it's a young sport.
Yeah, it's not an impact sport like football where they have their own set of problems with longevity. That doesn't happen in the NBA. And Kobe is the one that you're just like, okay, he provided us 20 plus years or 20 years of excellent basketball, but we knew that there was way more to come.
Yeah, he won an Oscar in like 3 years.
Yeah, there was way more to come in regards to his impact, internationally, within culture, developing the WNBA alongside his daughter.
Well, I wanted to say this too, is something I talked to JV about, like just, it came at me in waves. Like in the first wave when Andre like kind of yelled it out to JV and I, because he was the first to read the news. Me and JV were both just kind of like, what? Like, what the fuck? Like, disbelief. And then it was kind of like,
looking to disprove it.
Almost. Yeah. Like there was a video of the helicopter flying that morning. That had won. And I just didn't even watch it. I couldn't bring myself to watch it. And then as like the days and the weeks went on, it was like,
this is real,
the point of, them still being around and how he's not, how strange it was. And then, the proceedings of the funeral and all the signs of respect over social media. And then some of the more long-form articles were coming out. I read a piece by Zach Lowe talking about when Kobe Bryant, after he was retiring, was talking about how he was tired of how the NBA media focused so much on rings and, this
hot takes,
the winning culture. Hot take culture.
The surface level kind of analysis where he wanted to go further, which is what eventually evolved into his detail series where he went to Kyrie Irving, Jason Tatum, James Harden, and
fantastic videos. If you enjoy the game, you should watch those for sure.
And I texted JV. I was like, "This is exactly what I wanted when I wanted to start this podcast. Where we want to cover the popular things, but we want to uncover things that not everyone sees immediately to differentiate ourselves from what you see in the national media." So it was so crazy to me that it's something that like me without knowing, and then him like, of course, with way more resources and way more smarts, but. It was just so crazy. Like he had these visions, and it was he
knew
shocking.
What the true fans of the game wanted.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know. I guess for me, it was just like him having just congratulated LeBron on him surpassing him the day before. He was just it's like crazy surreal.
I'll take the torch and do my best to lead the way, and then after that,
he's just gone. Just hard to believe.
Yeah, I caught myself a lot of times after that thinking about, he was going to do this, and that, and you're like. Now
he's not. Yeah, it's still hard to believe he's not here.
Yeah, you're just like, he's gonna do this, and that. But now you're like, damn, but that's not gonna happen, and it just hits you again. Like at that moment, you're just like, I can't believe that we're not gonna get to see that. It feels, and this is selfishly, right? It feels like we were stripped of something great.
He had so much more left to give.
That's selfish way to look at it, but it's the reality, right? He was going to impact so many people.
And we literally didn't know him. The three of us have never been in a room
that's
with
the thing. Yeah, he had that impact on so many people around the world.
Watched him play once live, I think. That was about it.
I've seen. Sad day for the world.
But it brought about some immediate kind of like positives, just in terms of people like. Just one example is Kendrick Perkins had been beefing with Kevin Durant like a week before. And Kendrick Perkins came out and said, hey, there's things that are bigger than this dumb beef we have. I love you, blah, 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 to Kevin. I didn't see a documented response. I'm sure Kevin Durant sent him a text, but just kind of that general sentiment was going on a lot on like a massive scale. Things that happen in personal communities when you lose someone where you want to realize that some things are bigger than the petty squabbles that we have, but on a much larger scale because of how much reach that Kobe Bryant had. Another positive, and this is trivial because this is bigger than basketball, what we've been discussing in the past few minutes, but they ended up renaming the All-Star MVP trophy to the Kobe Bryant All-Star MVP Award.
Let's
So that kind of swung us over to the All-Star game, and I wanted to mention how great that was, and so those guys
minus the dunk contest, which was a complete sham. That was terrible up until the end. So
I mean, there were some good dunks in that contest, bro.
Yeah.
This was actually the first All-Star Saturday where I watched every single event.
You watched the skills challenge?
Yeah,
I missed the skills
challenge.
Bam
won that.
I missed Friday.
Cool. Which one thing they pointed out was the fact that a big man won that shows that where the league is going. Like less guards, the big men are having to handle the basketball a little bit more, having to play away from the basket and be able to facilitate, as opposed to just posting up in the paint.
Right.
So that was pretty cool.
What I thought was kind of funny.
He had to have a 3-pointer.
Yeah, for sure.
So he's like pulled up for 3-pointer. He beat Sabonis in the final.
They have I was hoping
another big
Sabonis personally. They put less passing in there. There used to be a bounce pass. I don't know if y'all remember. Yeah, no, it's just one through a tire. Jason Tatum won that. I think the previous year on the big team, and this year he was on the small team. So
what?
Kind of funny how fluid that can be.
That was cool. We had the dunk. Was it dunk contest?
It was dunk contest.
3-point contest.
3-point contest was first. Yeah.
That was fire, bro.
Yeah. The winner of that was. Oh my gosh.
It was Buddy Hield.
Buddy Hield. Yeah, Buddy got it.
What'd you think about that extra Mountain Dew shot? The
Mountain Dew. Cool. The money shots is worth 6 points or something, right?
No, it was
4 points. 2 shots, right?
It's 4 points.
There was 2 of them. You have 2.
They're 4 points each.
Yeah.
Yeah, because your money balls are worth 2. Mm-hmm. Regulars are worth 1. And then the Mountain Dew was worth 4.
I actually didn't realize this until right now, but I didn't know how they were going to implement that shot when I heard they were going to be taking it from a distance.
3.
I didn't think it was that far away. Personally,
I think that's the big 3 4-point line, isn't it? The 4-point circle.
I think even that was a little further. But what I thought was going to happen, I thought they were going to do a loop around the court normal and then go shoot those shots as the capper. But what they did was they shot the corner rack, the wing rack, then to the furthest rack, then the middle rack, then the furthest rack again. Were there 2 racks?
Yeah, there was 2. I believe. Yeah,
and then back.
There was
2 Mountain Dew shots.
Racks, and then they went to the wing, and then the corner shot, which if you view it from above, forms an M for Mountain Dew.
Oh man!
Oh wow!
You got the big mountain.
Yeah, I see that.
Big brain, baby.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. A lot of guys were picking the last rack to be their money ball rack. Mm-hmm. I guess that's the shortest distance.
And Bertans got real hot on the second wing. Yeah. That's when he caught fire, like scorching.
Yeah. Devin Booker had a very good first round. Devin Booker had a good second round. He almost won it.
That's actually who I had my money on.
Yeah, he lost out to Buddy Hield by the very last shot.
Which was like the best ending that you could ask for. Yeah. So overall, a terrific 3-point contest. I really liked it.
The final contest of the night was the dunk contest.
Very controversial.
I think the problem with the dunk contest is that we've undervalued the 10s.
Oh,
yeah.
Everything's a 10.
Dwight Howard, everything he did was in 10.
It's just a ridiculous precedent. It's like once, because there's some badass dunks that happen in the first round. Yeah. And as soon as you rate that a 10, you're immediately comparing everything after that to that 10. Oh, that was as good as that first one. And
exactly.
The competitors want to ramp it up and show their special stuff. So then everything's a 10.
Yeah.
Well, it's not a 10.
I believe I read that like the judges, the lowest score they can give is like a 7. So it gets harder to scale things especially if you start off giving things like 10s.
Kenny on TNT made a comment that they should bring back the half points. Which I agree
10.5.
Or they could just do decimal points.
Not 10.5, but like 9.5. Because some dunks are 9.5s and people give them a 10 automatically. So give it 10.5. 9.5.
Or just let them give stuff like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
What do you think about Aaron Gordon making the case that night to say, hey, I got all 10s. I should just win right here? I kind of agreed with him when he got to that point. I think so too.
Honestly, at that point, I thought they were just going to rank it a tie.
Because he had 4 dunks, 4 50s.
Yeah, they both did.
They should have just No,
they both had 450.
Not the first round.
The score's right here.
Not in the very first round.
Oh, wait, yeah, you're right. Derrick Jones had a 46 in the first one. Yeah.
So that was his case to just go ahead and win right there. And they made him dunk again. They both got 50s again. And then finally... they robbed them in the 5th and the 6th round.
Well, which is awesome. A lot of rounds. And I guess we're kind of burying the lead controversy here, which was the
fact that the judges
crew were conspiring through the last few different rounds as to what scores they wanted to give each individual. Yeah. And they were like, well, we don't really know what to do here. So let's go ahead and give these guys a tie after Derrick Jones Jr.'s last dunk, who was flying high, looking good. Mm-hmm. Some of his dunks were a little whack, in my opinion, the way he structured them.
Well, everything was a tomahawk. Well, not a tomahawk. Everything was a windmill, yeah.
And one of the windmills, he jumped over 2 people, but he put the shorter dude in front
between the leg of
the taller guy. So you've already cleared the taller guy. It's not difficult to clear the shorter guy that's after the taller guy. Anyway,
Everything was between the legs.
So they were like, okay, let's give him a 48, or a 50. And then everyone was saying, okay, I'll give him a 9, I'll give him a 9, I'll give him a 9, I'll give him a 10, I'll give him a 10. And then whenever it was Dwayne Wade's turn to give the dunk at
Aaron
10,
Gordon,
he gave him Aaron Gordon at 10. He gave him a 9, which put him underneath Derrick Jones.
48 to 47.
Ended up with the controversial, finish.
Dunked over Taco Fall and he got a 47.
Yeah, he did clip his
but
the back of his head.
He was like 7'6".
right. Well, you can find a 7'3" guy and get Kristaps Porzingis out there.
I guess.
Anyway,
Kristaps was resting at home.
Yeah.
He was in Mexico.
I'm just saying he got his head clipped, and I think Aaron Gordon should have won based off that dunk off the side of the backboard alone.
Yeah, that one was amazing.
That was terrific.
Nice.
So lots of good dunks. Terrible ending to an otherwise great show. Yeah. But the finale, the All-Star game,
the actual game. Oh my goodness! I watched that entire thing. I don't know if you guys watched it end to end,
sure.
But I was like, "What is going on?"
That shit was amazing.
The fourth quarter.
By itself,
they played
that
like
was
30 minutes.
That was very smart because there's no clock. It was whoever gets to this score first.
No timeouts, no ads. It was like when this program was brought to you. Oh, there were timeouts, but no advertising.
Yeah, there was no ads.
Yeah, no commercials. So you got to see just like timeouts, them on the court. It was like this program has been brought to you ad free by Colgate toothpaste. When you're watching the TV
Mountain Dew,
or Mountain Dew.
But these guys were playing like they were on the streets.
Yeah, it was like a
hard fouls,
playoff atmosphere.
Nothing easy.
Nothing easy, baby.
Sounds all right.
Yeah. The dream shake by Embiid on LeBron. Yeah. Oh my god.
Kyle Lowry taking all these charges.
Oh my god. Yeah, he set the pace for the end of the fourth quarter.
Giannis meeting LeBron at the basket to block him, like that was the closest.
No, the fadeaway three that Giannis got on LeBron.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. Oh, there's just so many plays.
So many good plays.
So many defensive plays. I think that's what made it crazy because it was like for the longest time it was like 5 more points, and it was just like these guys were not letting up. Unfortunately, and that ended with a foul, but it's still, it was still an
foul
amazing
in the free
game.
throw. Yeah. It was, and then AD had to build the suspense by missing the first one.
Yeah, he definitely did that on purpose. He said he did, and I believe him.
James Harden had the opportunity to win it. They were like 2 points
open
away.
lane. Yeah, he could have driven.
Lane. Yeah. There was like one guy kind of closing at him from under the rim. He's on the other side. And he just kicked it out to the corner for 3. So that was got a little weird, little suspect.
Push off call.
Oh yeah,
Harden hit the 3 that would have won it, but they call offensive foul push off.
They call it so late too. It was funny. He was laughing. It was definitely a push-off.
They were so mad. One thing that came out of that though is that people were like indifferent about or couldn't really pick a side. There's 2 sides. They interviewed Giannis and he said, "Oh, we were just looking for whoever James Harden was guarding."
Oh,
and some people thought that was. Some people were like, "It was a joke," and some people were like, "Hey, that's like an unnecessary diss for some reason."
And so that sparked a little back and forth. The whole for the next not even that next week.
It was still kind of ongoing.
No, yeah, it happened. It didn't happen that week. Like it didn't get traction that week during that interview when he said they were hunting Harden. It was like 2 weeks later or a week and a half later.
They brought back the draft.
They brought it up to Harden.
Yeah,
and he was like, "Oh yeah, I wish I could dunk like that or be that
I wish
tall.
I was 7 foot.
Yeah, I wish I was 7 feet tall.
Like all I had to do is dunk.
It doesn't take any skill. And I don't think he meant it as though Giannis has no skill, but he meant
it's easier.
You don't have to work as hard.
A step back 3, that is more skill based than
creating a shot with a dribble.
You have to learn that, and you have to get good at draining it.
Right.
So if you're 7 foot tall, you just have to learn not to.
The barbs were flying.
Dribble off your feet.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
so they had a little back and forth going on.
So much fun stuff going on.
Yeah.
Awesome weekend, all in all.
What do y'all think about that ending where they had to play to a final score?
I think that's a good way to do it going forward.
There was no letting up because there was no you
can't play the clock out, right?
Yeah, the game's never out of reach. You just got to get a stop. If it stops, and you can win.
Makes defense important.
I would be open to 2 things. I'd be open to them adopting something like that for maybe the opening round of that in-season tournament, whatever that ends up meaning or doing to the league or for whatever they're playing for, just to kind of see if it's still as entertaining as it was then, if they do something like that. And then as far as ending on a free throw, y'all mentioned that was kind of whack, and it was.
I thought it was
okay, but it could be better. And so what if?
No, I don't have a problem with that because then you just have guys fouling all the time.
I think defense makes sense.
I think they could put in I think they could put in a detractor where you don't want to foul. What if it detracts a point from your team instead of putting him at the line?
Well, I don't think Kyle Lowry was trying to foul him. He just
right.
He had to. He got beat.
I'll just make the game ending on a free throw like that.
Well, they still would have won with a free throw.
No, I'm saying to see the game end on a shot as opposed to a free throw instead of shooting free throws in a scenario like that. If I foul you, instead of putting you at the line to shoot and win the game. You still have to make a shot. So when I foul, it subtracts a point from my total.
That shit don't take forever.
So it's still this guy hit a shot, make it exciting. So I thought that'd be cool.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. Yeah, hopefully they institute something to keep it as competitive as it was this year going forward. Because I know a lot of players play hard with the passing of Kobe. So hopefully they can maintain that intensity going forward. But I think that does it for the news. Did y'all have anything else?
No, that does it for news. We're gonna move on to some of the big topics that have been going on over the past few weeks. Some recent, some not so recent. We're going to kick it off with Rich. He's going to touch a little bit on the Raptors, how they've been doing.
Oh, yeah. So, just a new name for the segment. Just something easy. Just small topics and tall topics, smalls and talls, like big players, small players. And a little tidbit I had was just watching the Raptors play, man. Those dudes are awesome. They play on a string. It doesn't matter who you put in. Like, they could put Andre in there, and Andre would put in like 10,
player of the week.
10 points, baby.
Player of the week,
easy.
man.
Anybody off the street. Because as long as you're playing for Nick Nurse, like, you're going to defend hard. Like, it just feels like everybody has an opportunity. Even their 11 and 12 guys, you know. It just, if you earn your minutes in practice,
they win by committee. They do well.
And so no matter who's injured, everybody's injured, you know. Marcus Gasol just came back recently, met up with Mike Conley at their Jazz game. Norman Powell out again. And the one that inspired me to kind of talk about this was Norman Powell recently coming back, and he unfortunately got injured on March 9th, day-to-day with a sprained ankle. But that dude was fucking playing out of his mind, averaging 28 points in the past 5 games before his previous injury.
Shooting like
50% from the floor.
Yeah, it's crazy.
40% from 3.
Storm and Norm.
28 points. Yeah, Storm and Norm. And so like just awesome. And some say that one, you know, this really bolsters Nick Nurse's chance to win Coach of the Year. And the other thing is, like, how do you get these powers? You touch Fred VanVleet's son. He was seen holding Fred Jr. I think on the way.
We need to harness that power.
Like that's the championship baby right there.
Yeah. He can heal Corona.
He brought the title
it's
to
like
Toronto.
It's like the Space Jam ball, you know. You put your hands on it.
Get it?
What powers did he take there?
I don't know.
Oh man,
Norm.
Did Kawhi ever hold that baby?
I don't know. It's possible.
No, I'm glad you brought up the Raptors. I feel like that's my pick to upset the Bucks in the playoffs.
They're
we're
built
still a
for
little bit of a ways away from our playoff picks, but I'll go ahead and say it right now. I feel like the Raptors.
Well, they've already exceeded mine because I forgot.
I feel like the Raptors will come out of the East.
I didn't have them picked for the playoffs.
I think that's
Pick them last year.
It's definitely possible.
I did, yeah.
I think a lot of that's going to hinge on how well Marcus Gasol gets reintegrated back to the team. He's been out for like a good while with his age and everything, but for all we know, that could just make him more rejuvenated for the stretch run. You know?
Yeah, all they do is need him to pack the paint and hold his ground against Giannis.
Form the wall.
Yep.
Is this a traveling baby? Are they going to bring him on the road?
Probably.
They might.
Hey, man.
Fred is on his contract year, so.
That'll be big. He'll get paid.
Yeah,
especially if they make it to the finals again.
Yeah.
Dude, that'd be sick.
You think the Raptors keep him if they make it?
Yeah, they'll definitely give him an offer.
Yeah.
Who else is out there?
I think they'll keep it competitive.
There's nobody else out there.
They'll keep it competitive for his offers. I think he'll get some good, you know, offers from like people like the Kings, the Hawks, even like Hornets, the Knicks. But I think he'll take a small discount just because they took the chance on him all those years ago. And he's been there for so long. I think
in the free market he would demand easily close to right around the $25 million.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't know. He's not that young. I was thinking more like
I'm just thinking about the guys that got paid last year.
Just like straight 20.
I was gonna say like the mid-level exception, you know, like, you know, $12 million,
really,
something like that.
For starting, he's starting now. That's why I'm saying.
Are you talking about Norman Powell?
No,
we're talking about
Fred.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Fred Senior. Sorry, You got to clarify. Fred Senior.
Fred Junior could go for a lot of money.
Fred Junior gets the max. Come on.
Oh, Norman Powell. Yeah, I agree with that. How about Fred?
Yeah. So Fred. Oh, for sure, 20-ish million. I think so too. I think he'll still take it.
Damn, dude. Like, get this man
Norman. He's come a long way from being traded for a horse, huh?
That's a Game of Zone shout out. No?
Oh, I missed that show.
Anyway, so anything else on the Rockets? I was going to move on to the next.
Not really that, but I did want to go over, you know, some of the notable injuries. You mentioned Norman Powell. He's out with an ankle sprain, so hopefully he gets back soon, contributing just as he was before. But 76ers are actually lost two of their biggest stars. Ben Simmons is out with a back injury.
Any update
spinal.
on that?
Yeah, they haven't heard anything. So
that's a rough
he might be out for the rest of the season. It'll be interesting to see what they can do because that team
thought they'd get bounced in the first round.
Yeah. Well,
in the first
the thing is, like they're a team
with the Pacers. I said they match up with the Pacers, they get bounced in the first round, and that's very likely now.
Anything could happen.
You got Oladipo, Sabonis having a year.
Dude, the Pacers are 8-2 right now. I know we're jumping around everywhere, but they're playing.
Yeah,
hot basketball.
They're getting back to it. Oladipo's not completely back just yet.
You got
but,
the president, you got Sabonis, and they got Oladipo back. They're gonna be forced to be reckoned with.
While we were in Portland, we saw DeMontis in person, and he looks like very capable, very skilled, and I love that guy.
Yeah, and speaking of Portland, Nurkic is coming back too, so he's off the injury list.
March 15th.
March 15th.
Back
to that
in
though.
Time for that run to get that 8 seed.
They have the easiest schedule coming up. The Blazers do. So
yeah, they got dicked early on the season. But Embiid out with the shoulder injury. He might play tomorrow. That's still up in the air. But yeah, their playoff dreams are slowly going down the drain. It seems for me.
Rich a lot of props for picking. He won't win it, but for picking Pascal Siakam as most improved back-to-back years. I don't think that's ever happened.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna win.
But I think if people didn't think that a guy who won it can't win it again.
Totally
that'd be a really good case.
Context changes.
Yeah. But nobody's going to look at him and be like, oh, most improved again because Pascal Siakam's a champion. Of course he's good.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But he's definitely elevated his game to that next
He should
step.
be in the conversation for sure.
Yeah. I mean, he's a starter, right?
Yeah.
All-star game?
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. If MVP can play such a big role with narrative, so can other awards too if you want to play that game.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm giving you your props here on the Shotcallers Show on March 10th,
March 10th.
2020.
Yep.
But yeah, continuing the train wreck of injuries is going through the East right now. Giannis is out with a knee joint capsule sprain.
That one looked kind of crazy. It looked like I don't want to say words that are damning, but it looked like it blew something out. Like it looked like it.
Yeah, so they're saying it looked a lot worse than it was. It was in the Lakers game.
Right.
He finished the game and then they went and did an MRI afterwards. But so hopefully he should be back within at least a week or two is what they're saying. But it just sucks for the Bucks because they were doing so well, and we kind of wanted to see what they could do with their record historically and see if they can go for the Warriors record. But it looks like that's out the window right now, and that might be for the best too.
Well, they're trending right at 70 games.
Yeah.
I had them at 70 games. Remember? But they might not even hit 70 now.
Yeah.
Giannis being out.
Yeah, but hopefully he can get back soon and
they definitely
play
did
the
not
same.
handle themselves very well last night.
Yeah, I mean they're still a really good team without him, but he definitely puts
the Bucks.
The Bucks, yeah.
Yeah, I mean
they go from averaging 11 points a win to losing by 14.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, that was a little of a strange case. After they lost to the Lakers, they kind of punted their 70 win kind of chase.
Yeah.
And they sat almost everybody with Mike Budenholzer.
Which is actually pretty smart. You want to, make sure you got fresh legs for the playoffs.
Right. It was just such a stark contrast. And those guys played hard. Dante DiVincenzo, Robin Lopez, they were giving it their all, but just not enough firepower.
Yep.
Giannis is sorely missed. Did you say when he might be coming back?
About 2 to 3 weeks.
God dang, that's a long time. Yeah, they're definitely going to be winning like 65 games, I'm thinking. Something like that, which is still crazy awesome.
Mm-hmm. But he's still playing like low minutes too, so his fatigue should be all right.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one I wanted to mention was Steph Curry. Even though he just came back on Sunday, he's out with the flu. Golden State had like this huge press release that had everyone worried. They thought it was corona, but it's just the flu. So he's missing his second game today. I think they have him on day to day just to kind of see when he's coming back. But
did you mention the Mavericks having 5 guys out today?
Didn't it all happen?
I thought a lot of them came back. Did they not come back?
Dwight Powell obviously out for the season, but Jalen Brunson, Willie Cauley-Stein, Seth Curry, and Michael Gilchrist all out today.
Okay, so yeah, MKG, I think he had an injury in the last game, but Seth Curry had a weird ankle thing going on in the Spurs game where he got tripped up, and Jalen Brunson took a hard fall a few weeks ago, so he's been out.
Still the number one rated offense in the league.
Yeah,
surprisingly.
no, I mean that is surprising. As that's not where I thought it would have been, but with seeing how well Luka can, navigate the pick and roll, has a great outlet, and a guy that's rolling to the basket effectively with Porzingis, with good shooters around him like Seth Curry, like you mentioned, like that's not surprising. I wonder how it's going to change in the playoffs because their offense kind of grinds to a halt in the last minute or two, which is kind of what you see. You can attribute some of the losses to a lot of last minute I think it's Andre West, the famous philosopher, that once said the Mavericks are good at.
It's like what?
What's wrong? What sounds wrong about that?
They're good at clutching defeat from the jaws of victory.
Yeah,
that's what he was saying.
Yeah.
So.
Love it.
It's gonna be funny. It's fun to watch in the stretch.
It's good to see Portillo's getting closer and closer to what we saw in New York, though.
Dude, he was balling out up until Sunday against the Pacers. They kind of bodied him up, but I think he's bouncing back really well this game. So it's good to see.
I mean, they're going to be those games where you just kind of...
Yeah, you can't play perfect every game.
Shit the bed a little bit. It's okay. They still had an opportunity to win is the big thing.
Yeah, he won Player of the Week last week, so he's doing something right.
Cool. What about your tall...
Oh, tall story? It's the major one. We kind of danced around it a little bit. The Lakers kind of went on a little show. They had Wednesday, Thursday off, played on Friday, and then played again on Sunday. They played the Clippers and the Bucks. And LeBron kind of put a... What do they call those things? A Slim Jim, a crowbar into the MVP situation. He said,
he's like prying himself in there. Yeah, he's like, excuse me.
I'm back, baby. He was just picking people apart, dude. There was a famous video going viral around the internet, I think 2 days ago or yesterday, where LeBron was hunting mismatches in the fourth quarter against Marcus Morris, against Lou Williams, saying, give me the screen. All right, rescreen. Bring me this guy. Here, bring him to me, and just driving to the rim at will, passing guys open, taking advantage of putting Lou Williams on skates and just going to his open man, getting a three. So just really like enforcing his will and just driving whenever he wanted to. And a lot of times people are like, well, why don't they just drive to the basket every time?
It's hard.
Really? Yeah, some hard work. But
those are people who don't play basketball. But it's hard to do that.
Yeah. Some keyboard
the bucket, it's a strain on your body every time.
Oh yeah, and he's 35, man. Anyway, so that's
yeah. I mean, you beat the MVP leader in Giannis, and then you go back home, even though it was technically an away game against the Clippers, and handle business against your rival, your hometown rival. The two teams, the full strength. The two teams that most would say were poised before this weekend. Yeah. Most would say these are the two more poised, most poised to knock them out of the playoffs, and you handle business in both. And they call it bully ball.
Yeah,
right. What LeBron was doing, like what you were saying, like I'll bring him on.
Yeah.
I'll
who's the pointing out the weakest link and just attacking him? Who's that guy? Bring him to me.
Yeah.
Here he is, Bron. Bring him up here. Like, yeah.
And you handle business, and it's crazy how one weekend can shift the race, right? Yeah. People are talking about LeBron being back in the lead. Do you think that's fair to just immediately rip it from the hands of Giannis?
And that's what I was about to say. I said LeBron's getting the crowbar in the window, and I think it's a long season. We're only should
have had Brinks
70% of the way through. I think Giannis is gonna shut the window back on him.
Well, how can you do that when he's out for 13 days?
No, he's still gonna. When he comes back, he can still average 32 points in 28 minutes over 6 straight games or whatever. If you
still be Giannis,
yeah, still just be who he is. Low minutes. If you swap their cities, and LeBron was doing this next to Chris Middleton in Milwaukee. LeBron would have it sealed up for what he was doing in Milwaukee. If you swap their stat lines and their minute totals and everything, LeBron would have it sewn up. So it's disrespectful to Giannis to think that LeBron can have 2 weekends and just kind of be like, oh yeah, it's him. It's the storyline. He needs the 5. He should have 5 by now instead of just 4 MVPs. So let's go ahead and vote him.
I feel like they got to have someone rivaling it, because for me, I had LeBron at 2 for the MVP voting anyway. So you got to have someone.
Right. But just for somebody like Michael Wilbon on ESPN to say, I'm voting for LeBron, and there's still, several weeks to go here in the season.
15 years left.
It's not over. It's like when you see those best albums of the year in November, like it's still December.
Yeah.
It's funny if they say all this and then Giannis wins unanimously.
That definitely won't happen.
Yeah, I don't think it'll happen.
Real quick, who's y'all's number 3 in the MVP? Because those two are number 1 and 2. But
I had Harden,
that's what I was.
Luka, but
I had Harden as well, especially when they were riding high on the small ball, train, and they were winning 8 out of 10 games with Robert Covington. Dude, Robert Covington's playing such a good defense. I want to vote him.
Honestly, man, it's about time we need to put Chris Paul in there, because he's playing like historically clutch level.
I think I'll put the Thunder right now, number 3.
Really,
just for the fact that they are the number 1 offense. Just changes the team entirely when he's not there. Like when he's not there, the team they can still pull out a win, but you can just tell it. Like you said, it comes to a standstill, especially in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Russell Westbrook has been able to carry Houston to some wins without James Harden. So it's the talent there, the small ball, kind of. inflates some of those numbers, and that's not a new narrative for James Harden because he does get to the line a lot. So I don't think it's fair to compare, points per game, things like that. Efficiency-wise, Luka's is a little bit more efficient, and his team is overall more efficient. So I'd give him the nod just for that.
Yeah. I lean towards Chris Paul. He's got the better record.
He's surgical,
both
man.
of them, and he's like, no one expected him to be as good as they are.
I saw this on somebody tweeted this. They're like, the Rockets traded Chris Paul for Russell Westbrook so that they can make a run. The Thunder traded away Russell Westbrook so that they could rebuild. The Rockets are a game and a half ahead of the Thunder are a game and a half ahead of the Rockets.
That'd be a spicy playoff matchup. I'd love to see that one.
What happened? Rockets will get bounced in the first round.
No, I think it could happen in the first round, depending on how everything shakes up.
Wouldn't the Thunder have to go like 3? I guess they could land 4 or 5.
Yeah, they're only one game behind the Jazz too. So
they can land 4 or 5.
The Jazz are kind of teetering too, with Rudy Gobert looking shook.
Yeah.
So it'll be nice to see, or it'll be fun to see the narrative for these last 15 or so games. See who comes out on top in the MVP race. I think we'll run a poll on Twitter. See what the fans think. LeBron or Giannis, just to get a pulse.
Yeah.
So if you don't follow us already on Twitter, follow us at Shotcallers Show, and we'll post that on there. We'd like to know who your pick for MVP is with the last 8th of the season. Cool. With that being said, I'm going to move on to my segment. Bringing back the old Twitter segment.
Let's do it.
This week's team, the Houston Rockets. We just talked a little bit about them. You guys talked about James Harden. Your guys number 3 in the MVP race, despite being the number 6 seed in the West. The tough West, so we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. But let's hear what Twitterverse has to say about the Houston Rockets. The first tweet comes from @FX_machine. He says, "Why is Westbrook the only guy throwing an assist and guarding the next guy near him? The rest are running away." He says something about defense. I know he said assist, but he doesn't mean like offensive assist. He means helping, bringing the help from the weak side or, whoever. Playing off your man, bringing help if a guy's driving. He says Russell Westbrook's the only one on there.
I think he might be talking about a one select sample size game because I would just shout out Robert Covington for being a force. He's averaging over 2 blocks a game. Mm-hmm. And then PJ Tucker is often the main defender that people are helping too.
I'm surprised he ain't dead yet.
Yeah. Do you think it's a case in this case with this guy? You think it's a case of fan frustration? You're losing games, and so you nitpick at small things.
Yeah, definitely.
You're down there in the game and you see a guy maybe make a lazy play. And we've seen it. We've seen LeBron do it. We've seen it happens. Top to bottom, and we've seen a player sleep on a play. Do you think it's just frustration? He sees that, that small sample size. And he's just like, why doesn't anybody else hustle?
Mm-hmm. That and just like the caliber of the teams they've probably been losing to recently, it all builds up. Yeah. So you see one bad thing. Man.
What do you guys think about not to get off topic, but what do you guys think about the change to the small ball? We've seen it work and we've seen it get run over.
I think it works, but to play that exclusively is like a huge physical toll on whoever you have playing in those big positions. Because even teams who have done that in the past, they've had a big to throw in there during the regular season just to keep your other guys fresh. But constantly trying to play up against big people, challenge them in the post and stuff, that's too hard. And that's why I think that's kind of why they're failing now.
What would you say? What would you say to those who would argue that there's really only 3 teams that they have to really worry about that with?
Jokic and the Nuggets, LeBron and Anthony Davis, and then also the Clippers, just because they have such great defenders.
Yeah. What even the Clippers though? You don't really have that
just
huge
in the West
mismatch.
You're talking about big that they have to worry about, and I didn't mention Rudy Gobert because I don't think that the Rockets worry about him at all. I think they'd play him right off the floor.
Yeah, he's uncomfortable playing that far out anyway, so it's like he's got to pick his poison at that point.
I think it's more exactly what Andre said. It's just the fatigue on the body, and so let's say the Rockets get really hot. Eric Gordon is really knocking down
on the defensive side, right?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Well, they get really hot on offense. Eric Gordon's really knocking down shots, and they go through those playoffs rounds 1 and 2, and they do round 1 and 2. They eke out a win against the Thunder. They play the Jazz. They beat them, or they beat the Nuggets. Right? They end up in the Western Conference Finals. Eric Gordon's playing super well, but they go from having 2 days off between most games to going 1 day off, and that's where I think those miles are really gonna come back to bite them.
Fighting for rebounds.
PJ Tucker will just disintegrate his whole body. That guy just has the guard.
He's like a grease stain on the floor, man. He's dying.
I'm glad he got that guaranteed money. Next tweet goes from @West Goat. He says
West Ghost would have been a good one.
Right. This losing streak is in the Rockets' head at this point. Seems like every game is an inevitable loss. So a little bit more fan frustration. He thinks they just aren't there mentally. Like they get frustrated themselves maybe. Do you see some of that? I do see a little bit of that from Russell Westbrook, but I think that's just Russell Westbrook. He's just very animated
emotional
all the time.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's anything there necessarily with him. He's having probably the best run he's had in
a while. Since his MVP season.
They have maximized his powers. And he's got real powers. Like, going at 100% full tilt all the time. Like,
but he has more energy than all of them.
What do you think our boy Westcoat is seeing?
Westcoat
with a zero, not a
gotcha. I just think it's more just like, I think the guys will take on the general demeanor of James Harden being the leader of the team. And James Harden doesn't wear his emotions on his sleeve very often, at least not.
Unless he's pouting.
Yeah, not very many positive emotions. Yeah. It's more eye rolls and kind of just kind of stoicism, So I think when he's playing alongside the likes of
Eric Gordon.
No, Eric Gordon, but
PJ Tucker.
No, not PJ Tucker. The role players. Not Austin Rivers.
Eddie House.
No, the guy Eddie House.
Sorry,
Daniel House.
Daniel House.
Eddie House came back looking sad.
We just named half the team.
No, the guy that was on the Kings that just came over and he was like almost at the league. Oh man, it's gonna make me mad. He was on the Kings, then he ended up on the Warriors, and now he's on the Rockets. You know what I'm talking about?
That's not Marcus Chris. He's still on the Warriors.
There's been like a lot of players who've gone in that little triangle.
What's the point?
Anyway, those guys take after James Harden as the leader. And so that kind of melancholy.
If we don't remember that guy, is he important?
Does it matter how he feels?
I think they're just tired, man. Those rotations are small. They're out there fighting for rebounds and battling with bigs.
They're talking about Cephalostic, right?
No.
Oh wait, no, he's on the.
They're just tired of getting bodied. They can't play. Everyone can't beat Westbrook.
Ben McLemore, guys. That's what I'm talking about. I just said he's a follower, is what I'm saying, and that's what he is.
Why are we talking about how Ben McLemore feels?
It's like they're tweeting, "Oh, Ben McLemore's out of it." This is
the Rockets. Is this the demise of the Rockets? Ben McLemore's unhappy.
That was important, man.
How are we gonna win?
I hear what you're saying, though.
No,
they follow him.
So
it seems like they're not, like, if he's not really being positive and he's being droopy, I guess.
Yeah, it's reflected in his team. Yeah.
If
your leader's not like positive.
Yeah, you're not going to look very ecstatic to even try to like come back when you're losing. You're just like, chalk it up to an L. I can see that. The last tweet is from @Elite the King. He says, playing a team under...
I'm reading the tweet. It's funny.
Playing a team under 500 again? Yeah, we've got to get our ass whipped. 100%.
I feel the same way sometimes, dog.
So he said so he's definitely a fan. Is there any validity to that? Because they do have the most losses in the West. On the top of the top 8 playoff teams in the West, they do have the most losses against sub 500 teams at 12. So is there reason for concern there, or?
I think it's just playing down to their competition, feeling like it's kind of in the bag, Mm-hmm. And so I think that it's definitely a concern because a team like Milwaukee, like you tell them, like you tell me they're going to go through a playoff race and they're going to give it their all every game without a doubt, for sure. And if they lose, it's because they got out-schemed, outperformed by the other team. Whereas a team like the Rockets that are playing down to their competition and you don't know if they're going to give 100% every night, there could be a night where they just don't have it in game 4, even if they're up 2-1 and they give away that second game and they're going back 2-2 to the road series or the not having home court advantage because they could be a 5th or 6th seed. So pretty crazy. So I think that is a cause for concern.
Yeah, and I pretty much agree with Richard. It seems exactly that to me. Like playing up down to their competition has been like the downfall of the Rockets. I feel consistently.
That tweet is just loaded with somebody who's been there for a while.
Yeah, he's tired.
He's been through it all.
He was there for all 27 of them.
And it must be tiring getting berated by all the other teams, fans, and other teams. Everybody hates
I feel like the expectations are high for the Rockets.
I hope he's not an Astros fan because he's really feeling it right now.
Because it's definitely getting blown up if they don't do anything.
Know what I'm talking about. The Astros cheated.
Yeah.
They won, right?
Yeah, but they cheated.
Yeah, but they cheated. Yeah.
He's hearing it from both sides right now. Cool, that does it for our Twitter segment. If there's a team that you would like us to cover, definitely shoot us a message at Shotcallers Show, _Shotcallers on Instagram, or shotcallarshow@gmail.com, and make sure to cover your favorite team. If we haven't already, we've covered probably about a third of the league but I'll work our way through it. That does it for this week's Twitter segment. Next, we're going to move on to Andre's.
We'll get to the fan mail, though. The fan mail kind of ties into Andre's.
So Andre's about to talk a little bit small, big, tall. Big and tall.
Big, small, medium.
It's a big.
It's a big.
Okay,
so
it's a big.
One of our listeners, James from Glen Heights, he says, "Hey, Shotcallers, the coronavirus outbreak has got me thinking a lot about what's going to happen in the NBA this season. Does the league owe it to the teams to take a hiatus? Do the teams owe it to their fans to keep traveling and playing? I know there's been some talk about playing for empty stadiums for the safety of the players. Is it still the same game at that point? At the very least, it would remove any home court advantage. I want to hear y'all's 2 cents on what you think should happen and what you think will actually happen. Love the show. Can't wait for the next episode."
What you got, Andre?
All right. So leagues in Europe are already playing in open stadiums. Coronavirus has pretty much spread a lot further. They've tested a lot more over there, so they're more aware of the threat that it pertains to like their players. I know NBA is meeting today to talk about that to the players and what to expect going forward. They've already told the media, and other teams have already expressed that they're only letting the minimum mandatory personnel inside the locker room, like only the team members, no media, no facility staff, none of that, just the team. Yeah, so that begs the question, like at what point are we going to see like NBA teams playing games in empty stadiums? I know Golden State in San Francisco, they've told Joe Lacob that, hey, you need to stop having open games at the Chase Stadium. Joe Lacob's come out and said, if you get coronavirus at one of our games, you can't sue us. So yeah, that's been
putting
made.
it on the fence.
Yeah,
that's pretty crazy.
But I think
he had that statement.
Yeah, that's actually recent. But I think like within the next 2 weeks, we'll probably see that start happening, and it hurts me.
I honestly think that in order for NBA games to start being played with no audience, it would have to be mandated. Like,
I think it's going to come out within the next 2 weeks.
It would have to be something where they're like everything public,
like an executive order or something like that.
Shit, a quarantine, an executive order,
right?
Essentially,
yeah. And so
I don't know. That could happen.
There's already been.
Well, sorry, you can go ahead.
There was a step that kind of went in this direction already, where media scrums. You see a lot of clips after different games on your local network of scrums outside of a guy's locker. They just took a shower. It's time to talk to 9 reporters with mics and iPhones in your face. Distance after the game is basically going to be playoff style with a podium, and everyone's like sitting behind like 8-10 feet away.
Yeah, using long stats,
which is or just having microphones in front of set up in front of the player, kind of like when Rick Carlisle or a coach does a press conference afterward. So I think that's kind of the way it. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and that's one step towards like safety, but that doesn't really affect the NBA's bottom line like at all. They're still going to get the interviews and the content that they want, just not in the same proximity. And that particular measure doesn't cost any fan attendance. Right. So I think it'd be like what JV is saying. It would be a hard thing for the NBA to do to close their games. To answer James' question, like owing it to the fans, I think the players owe it to themselves to be safe and be able to continue to perform. Not so much like owing it to the game, or the NBA should feel a duty to continue playing. I think they just feel a duty to continue making the money from the revenue. Right. And if they played in empty stadiums, they'd still be at least making the broadcast TV revenue. I
think there's definitely 2 big stances on this, right? There's the one stance to say it's our responsibility of a brand like the size of the NBA, the government, you can go as far as you want with it, to force people not to engage in these kinds of events, right, for their own safety, because sometimes the public, or a lot of times the public knows no better, right? And then there's the other side, like, who did you say? From
Joe Lacob?
Joe Lacob?
Yeah.
There's that side that says
it's not our fault.
Let people
do what they want.
Roam at their own risk, right? It's been made apparent that it's out there. These are the steps you need to take to be safe. If you don't have to go out, don't go out. If you choose to,
you do it at your own risk, right?
Yeah, you've kind of put yourself at that risk, right? I'm not arguing either side. I understand both sides.
Yeah, I'm not an expert or a CDC official.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I play it safe, but I'm not gonna tell the next guy that he shouldn't go. I mean, and like I said, unless it's mandated, people are gonna go. People are gonna go, but they're probably gonna be all sold out playoff games. Andre, you say it's probably going to come down in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, I think
Over
within as
I need the over-under on that.
we're not like a scientific like podcast or anything, but like in terms of coronavirus, I think like as more testing and stuff ramps up in the U.S., it'll probably get mandated within the
it ramps up.
I think it will.
I hope so.
It's going to. They're already talking about it now, but that's none of that aside. Here's an alternative though. What do y'all think about postponing the games?
I think that would be whack.
No, I'd be okay with that, and then you just start the next season a little bit later. Aren't we like in CBA this year?
I think the year after next.
Think about football.
The year after next, yeah.
Yeah, I would be cool with that. Having a shorter 2020, 2021 season. Just start that later.
And dude, crazy idea. Just assuming they do that. You think Kyrie and KD come back and play for the Nets?
When they resume?
Yes.
Yeah, if they resume.
If they're ready to go by the time the playoffs resume, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You're telling me I have fresh legs. I get to go in and just all I have to go do is win 16 games and I have Kevin Durant and KD? Yes, let's give it a shot. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I like that better or empty stadiums. It just seems weird.
I think if you do empty stadiums,
because then like you eliminate home court advantage.
Yeah, you eliminate that. It dilutes the product a little bit.
Yeah.
Like it does. Because honestly, you're going to throw it on TV. We're going to watch it because we like basketball. But the people that go in and sit down at bars, first of all, they're probably not going to bars, right? Mm-hmm. If it gets to that point. Second of all, like they're going to turn it on. They're going to be like, I just feel like it dilutes it because part of the hype is the fact that you got people cheering.
Yeah.
People are cheering and watching it amongst a group of friends. There's a huge segment of viewers during like the playoffs and the finals that only watch it because
everyone's
they're watching
talking about it
with
yeah.
everybody
yeah.
else and everybody else is talking about it. And as soon as you don't allow that to become a public setting type deal, I feel like it pulls away from it and they'll be hurting in more places than just ticket sales, I feel like.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, whatever's best for society.
Yeah.
I think
we have many more years of basketball.
To finalize the last question he had, as far as what I think will happen, I think personally it'd be a blend, trying both things of what you guys have suggested.
Delaying and empty.
I think they would empty the rest of the regular season, if that was a choice, before they delay the games. And
play it by ear.
Still get the broadcast. And then if it's like, still an ongoing pandemic.
Or if a player, God forbid, gets something.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they would delay maybe the playoffs for maybe a few weeks or whatever might happen. As far as like home court advantage, that little aspect of it, definitely like the fans play a huge role. Part of it is the travel too, having to go from one city to the next city and being just tired, or being on the first game back at home from a 5-game road trip, being tired there too. So I think there's still an element of that as well. And then as far as like the postponing the rest of the season starting next week or whatever, I think that would I think it has some ramifications on whatever the following season starts, because they'd probably shorten that to be something like 60 games. But then who knows if that'd be a good thing, because people want to shorten the season anyway and make the games matter more. So It's just kind of a lot of experimentation that we're probably going to see, and maybe something positive comes out of it.
Seems like a logistical nightmare too, because I know those games are scheduled like years in advance, because arenas, like you got concerts and stuff too.
Yeah, the circus, man.
Well, yeah. Oh man, yeah, man.
Ringling Bros.
Corona.
We'll see what happens. I think long term the NBA will be just fine. I think it'll be a 1, maybe 2 year thing that will really get impacted.
Yeah, and just from the shot callers to
I don't think anybody owes their health. I'll just summarize what he asked. I don't think anybody owes it to anybody to risk their health. So no, I don't think they owe it if there's a real threat of them.
I will say,
all you ballers out there.
Yeah, if they cancel games, I want a refund on my tickets.
Oh yeah, me too. I was gonna just say all of our listeners should be washing their hands for 20 seconds.
I've only got about 3 games.
Yeah, wash your hands out there, y'all.
I've only got about 3 games that didn't sell, so
man, must be nice.
Just go.
Must be nice.
You got the whole season then?
Yeah, I'm about to go up there and ventilator mask.
You better put them for $10.
You can't even go that low.
Your losses.
Like, there's a limit for how low you can go. But yeah, that'll do it.
That'll do it for that. Next, we got game talk, big topics. Get it off your chest, Rich. Get it off your chest.
I have nothing for that part right now. I thought we were gonna do the gambling part. Our pick 'em.
Oh yeah, we still have to talk about our. I guess we didn't finish the last one, but I think we're all gonna just get punished.
Yeah, jump right into it. We're jumping right into pick'em. All right, so as you guys know, we haven't been here for about 6 weeks, so February pick'em was not a thing. we're all catching an L for February.
So,
if you guys could think of a punishment for all three of us, maybe another type of challenge, maybe I don't know, something.
A challenge would be pretty cool.
A challenge would be cool. A race maybe, and then
I like a race.
And then the losers of that have to do something else.
We'll see.
A race.
Physical race? No,
let's do a 3-point shootout.
Oh, that'd be pretty cool.
I'll do that.
Let's do a 3-point shootout. I like that.
Anyway, any suggestions you need, we might use them in the next month's pick 'em. And so we'll cash in this L by the end of next week. And we're going to start off our new month starting with this round that we do on the show here now.
Yeah, so just to recap or to
introduce the games that we're going to pick from.
Yeah, or to, what am I trying to summarize the way the game works for those of you who don't remember. We have 5 games that we all pick from. You just pick a side. Those are our even games, basically evenly matched up games. All 3 of us pick from these 5 games, one team or the other, and then we each pick a different game from the underdog pool. So we'll let Rich kick it off.
Let's go down the list, and then we go to each team and each say who we pick.
Yeah. We do the underdog.
Or we'll let Rich kick it off as far as who does he have in the Knicks at Atlanta this week.
So for the Knicks versus Atlanta, I ended up taking Atlanta. I think the Knicks are just in a state of flux. They have no discipline. Interim coach. I think Trae Young got really hot around this time last year, and I think he's going to keep it going this year when teams are kind of at their lowest.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going with the Hawks as well, just because they're the only team that has like a true weapon on offense, and it's a shooters league. So Trae Young doesn't have to have an outstanding game, but we saw what he did last week against the Mavericks. Went off in the 4th and pulled out a win. So I think he could definitely do that against the lowly Knicks.
Yeah, same here. Well, like Atlanta, Knicks are kind of super dysfunctional right now. Atlanta's actually trying to cultivate some kind of basketball culture, even though they might not have the talent. They're trying to win, and they have enough pieces to definitely put it away against New York.
And Utah at OKC, I picked Utah on the road. I just really like the duo of Donovan Mitchell and Mike Conley on the floor. I feel like Mike Conley's really found his role as more of a facilitator type, but he can drain the shots when he needs to, especially late in games. He's had some pretty clutch shots.
Able to.
So I can see them continue to do that. OKC, you talked a little bit about Chris Paul earlier today. Definitely, a hidden gem amongst the MVP candidates. But I ultimately just like the synergy of Utah a little bit better. Yeah. I've seen OKC up and close plenty of times this year. And it just seems like the games that they should win, they just make it very hard on themselves. So I think I can see that being one of those games.
Yeah, I had OKC for this one. I definitely like Chris Paul in the matchup against Rudy Gobert. He's known to make him dance in the past. And between that, Dennis Schroeder and Shea, they're just going to target Gobert and kind of eliminate his defensive presence.
Yeah, and then I think
Steven Adams match up well.
Gobert's been kind of eliminating himself. He's not getting a lot of touches on the offensive side of the floor. Joe Ingles is probably the best facilitator out of everybody on the floor right now, and he's the one that dimes up Rudy Gobert the most. But he's had like 8 points and 4 rebounds in the past, and kind of just been kind of out of it. Got ejected in the last minute of the game, and I think he'll still be in that funk. And then when you Google like snaking the pick and roll, it should be Chris Paul that is in that image. The first thing that comes up, because that dude is just a craftsman. Called him a surgeon already, and I think he's gonna go off for them. And even though the Jazz defense is supposed to be pretty shiesty, the Oklahoma City Thunder have a pretty good offense in the 4th quarter, so I think they're gonna pull it out.
Since I'm the one that picked Utah. To counter, I don't think that they will quite expose Rudy Gobert just because they don't have that long range threat the same way that some other teams might. Shai Gilgeous, he is quick, but I don't think he's like super threatening when he drives into the basket. He still has a lot to learn as far as finishing around the rim. Chris Paul for sure, he's gonna kill you from the mid range all day.
Dennis Schroeder been playing very well too.
You just kind of take that. Dennis Schroeder, he can have those games where he's just like shooting lights out from the threes, but I think that's too much of a long shot to rely on.
Gallinari, baby, shoot me into it.
Oh, I've seen that guy close up playing tennis this year too. This guy will go 0 for 5.
Yeah, or he could be 5 for 7. We don't know. We'll see.
I like Chris.
Next game, Denver at Dallas. Dallas is at home, and they just are historically this year not able to close out games at home. So I think that continues. I think Denver, this would probably be a potential playoff matchup. Probably one of the matchups that Dallas would like to see.
That's what I was going to say
in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. But I think just right now, the way that Dallas is playing at home, one game, I give it to Denver. I give them the edge just because Dallas is at home. I don't know what it is. They just can't close it out at home. And they just proved that again the other day against the who they played the other day? They couldn't close that.
The Chicago Bulls.
The Chicago Bulls.
Yeah.
I can see that happening again. You guys both pick
I got Denver in this one. Or sorry, I got Dallas in this one. I think it is a matchup that they would want. I think Porzingis stretching the floor will be tough on whoever's guarding him, be it Millsap if he's in the game that night and not resting, or if it's Jokic having to move his feet a little bit. Porzingis has been rolling to the rim much more effectively lately. And so I just have the confidence that it won't be a close game. I think it'll be a 10, 12,
Ooh.
6.
Really?
Yeah. I don't think it'll be like a last possession sort of thing.
Probably.
Just my feeling. So.
I love and I'll let you go right now, Andre. I do definitely think they have a major advantage with the athleticism of KP over the Joker. I don't know. I can't put all my eggs in that basket right now just yet.
Yeah, I don't know.
Series, yes.
I don't know about this. I also had Dallas winning this, but I think it'll be a little bit closer just because we don't really have anyone to stop Jokic in the post. Like Porzingis is going to give up ground. He's going to get bodied and pushed around. He's got the length to kind of address him, but Jokic is still
some Maxey.
Yeah, Maxey did a.
Really, but the thing with Jokic is he's gonna make the right pass if Maxey comes to help. So I think it'll be a close game. But
Kleber did a great job against Zion the other day. So he was handling the girth, and Jokic has a lot of girth too. So
yeah, the only difference is Joker's a lot better court vision when it comes to finding the open man, and he's got better shooters on the perimeter as well.
It'll be interesting. Maybe we'll throw Boban at him a little. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, Denver on that one. Next game, New Orleans Pelicans, Sacramento. I'll go ahead and say that we all picked New Orleans to win that one.
They've been rolling, man. They've lost some very competitive games that they easily could have won.
It's kind of been the narrative all season, right? They even before Zion got there, they're losing a lot of very close games, and I think Zion is the real deal.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Him and Lonzo are they've already tied for the third most in assisted points.
Yeah, Lonzo's finding his groove too, shooting with a lot more confidence. We saw a little bit of that late last year, where he was shooting with a lot of confidence at the beginning of the season. Not afraid to drive, but with Zion spacing the floor the way he is right now, it really gives Lonzo the opportunity to really perfect his craft on the perimeter. Yeah. I like his stroke a little bit better too. It's not quite as awkward as it was when he first came in the league. But yeah, I don't think Sacramento has an answer for them in any position really.
No, I don't think so. Maybe. Bagley's not even that good defensively.
If Zion's playing, the Pelicans are winning. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Last game, Memphis at Portland. You guys had Portland. You two had Portland.
Yeah, I kind of will admit some fault of my own. When I mailed these picks in, I didn't look very closely at the date. And
I didn't either.
I thought Nurkic was going to be back for this one, and he's not back till the 15th. So I feel bamboozled. Andre, you can take the floor.
This is the exact same thing, man. Jonas Valanciunas been playing well. He's gonna light them up, man.
Yeah. Damian Lillard's still a little tweaked from last week's injury. Third game back. I don't know. We saw Portland up close. I was super high on them at the beginning of the season. Super high on them last season. This year it's just inconsistency. You really don't know what you're gonna get from Carmelo and from CJ. Carmelo's like another CJ. He's either
they're like he's literally a bigger CJ.
Probably the most consistent scorer as of late is probably Trevor Ariza. But I think that Memphis with John Morant, Jaren Jackson, they're just I like that.
Yeah, I think Justice Winslow is on the way back too. So
I feel good about the Memphis pick. I'm setting myself up to get an unsurmountable lead early on.
Because me and Andre are so
yeah. Underdog game. Andre, you had first pick on underdogs. Who did you pick?
I picked Charlotte at Miami, and that's only because I read a stat today that said Charlotte is the most overachieving team in terms of beating teams that they shouldn't be able to beat. So I just went with them. That is why. That is literally why. I used analytics without context, so I could have just ruined this.
Yeah, Christian.
I took Chicago over Orlando. They're at Orlando, and Orlando is a playoff team. They're a playoff team because there's nobody jumping up to pass them, even though
they're so bad.
Even with Zach LaVine possibly not playing.
Right. I think that besides Zach LaVine,
Jonathan Isaac's injured too, right?
Yeah, he is too. Both sides are a little tweaked.
Yeah, well, but besides Zach LaVine, everybody else is healthy. Otto Porter Jr. is working his way back.
Man, I do.
They got Lauri Markkanen.
Oh,
exactly.
Okay.
So I think they're a little more full strength, and Orlando is a playoff team, like I said, but it's not because of them.
Put some respect on Fultz's name, dog.
Fultz looking nice, but I still have. It's an underdog pick. I got to pick somebody, and that's the best one.
Honestly,
I picked this last team because I actually really enjoy playing them, despite what the fandoms had to say earlier today. Houston Rockets. Oh, I enjoy watching the Houston Rockets.
Well, last time
last time they played the Lakers,
right?
They beat them actually very handily.
I think the boys tired 14, though. We're gonna see it.
I love watching the small ball. It's crazy. When Rich pointed out, he's like, "Look at the paint," and I just love seeing that. Like all these big men, especially
all that red.
Yeah, especially with the Lakers being so big. Like it's like, we talked about the defensive struggles that you might have because you're oversized, right? Or you're undersized compared to the competition. But man, when they're on offense and you got guys like JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard out there, I love seeing Dwight Howard get exposed because he's just like so uncomfortable. You can see it. He's like, I'm too damn far from the rim. And Russell Westbrook
it's like a kid in a swimming pool holding on to the ledge.
And like it's pick your poison because Russell Westbrook's so quick. Like you're gonna beat him to the rim, and if you can get there, you got to worry about PJ Tucker, Eric Gordon, and James Harden draining threes. Robert Covington draining threes. Whew, good luck. Good.
And Ben McLemore.
It's just fun to watch. I enjoyed watching them about a week and a half ago when they beat the Celtics. That was a fun game. That was just like a lot of fun to watch. If you guys haven't caught a Houston Rockets game, definitely watch it.
Give it a shot.
No, they're good.
It's very interesting to see.
Maybe not right now. But if it's an over 500 team.
Still a ton of ISO, so it's not like there's crazy schemes. Still a shitload of ISO, but it's fun to watch the defense kind of like scramble.
Yeah, trying to keep up. I don't know, man. I feel like the Lakers can play small if they want to, even though like I feel like Kuzma's going to get
They cannot.
Kind
Their defense relies on...
You can play 80 at the 5, Kuzma at 4, or LeBron at 4, Kuzma at 3.
It's like medium ball. Cool. That does it for our pick'em games. If you guys think any one of us is way off the wall, let us know.
Let us know.
At Shotcallers Show at gmail.com or at
Shotcallers with 2 S's. Shotcallers and then Shotcallers. There's 3 of us.
Shotcaller SS
and then
how.
Yeah, exactly.
And at Shotcallers Show on Twitter, _Shotcallers on Instagram. Let us know who you think is going to win this week's picks. Oh, and again, don't forget to let us know your ideas for punishment for this and last month.
It should be fun. I think it's going to be a great time. Cool. All right. Until next week.
No Rich's bits this week. I was looking forward to
bits.
it.
There's 6 weeks and no bits.
I'm rounding back into form. I was promised bits.
Rounding back into form.
No, yeah, we're running back into form for sure. So we'll bring a lot of our more popular segments. If you guys have any listener mail, please send us a message to shotcallers@gmail.com. Huge shout out to James from Glen Heights.
Shout out Glen Heights.
Shout out to Ramiro reaching out to us while we were gone, asking where we're at. Well, we're right here. We're in the podcast feed.
We are back. We're ready to roll. We're going to hit this hard, and we're in playoff form early. Mm-hmm. And
Corona's
look forward to more and more episodes. Until next time, I'm JV.
I'm Rich.
It's Andre.
And we're the Shotcallers.
Bye.